I don't want to be where I'm not wanted, and I don't want people around me that don't want to be with me and don't see the vision that I'm trying to build, because I am building a $1 billion business. I am your host, Jason Julius, and today we are doing a Q and JP, a Q and Julius Perspective, because I'm not giving you your answers. You find your own answers. I give you perspective and you own your shit. You look for perspective out there and you come up with your own answers. But today we have the Boujee Blonde, Dawn, in the house. You want to say hi to everybody?
What's
up? Okay. And we have Matt Bradshaw, Master Blaster. He's gotten into his whole official, like, that's that's going to be his signature hello. And the galactic demigoddess, Trish. Trish, how are you today?
I am living the dream, sir.
You're living the dream. I told you, quit with the sir.
Fine, boss daddy.
Oh, my Lord.
I love that. I won't be using it, but I love it.
Wow. Okay, let's get right
sir.
Let's get right into this. Okay, who has their first question for me? And you know what, Matt? I got the impression that I have a loaded question coming my way, so we might as well just get this out of the way.
Go, Matt.
Yeah.
Go, Matt.
Okay, so
I'll go first here. Thanks, guys. So you've bought a few businesses over the last year, and go ahead.
To be clarifying, not following a shiny thing, because that is where entrepreneurs get distracted. They follow shiny things. This was one of those businesses, was kind of fell in my lap, but it made sense, and it was very much strategically thought through to make sure that I wasn't following a shiny thing. But okay, continue.
So we've added a couple of businesses.
Yes.
With their own employees.
Yes.
And with their own benefit packages.
Ooh.
So
with their own benefit packages.
How do you determine benefits going forward? Or what is your perspective on the benefit packages currently offered to all the different brands?
Okay, well.
Interesting question. Good one.
Thank you.
Okay, so, I mean, I guess I need to, I'm like, because I had a conversation with one of the employees that, technically speaking, I bought out their benefit packages, because the type of what they consider benefit packages, I don't consider benefits. I'm holding very strong to my freedom and responsibility. You should have the freedom to take vacations when you want to take vacations, and the responsibility is that I'm paying you well, so you should be saving your money to take your vacations. But as I also explained to them, that I was replacing them with what I thought were real benefits, and we have been talking about bringing 401ks into the operation for quite a long time now. So I'm not going to deny that with Vickers, I am doing something different, but it's specifically for Vickers because of the structure of the business itself, and it was based off of the book, The Great Game of Business. I believe that's The Great Game of Business. And part of that book is, let's just say, extreme transparency by literally trying to educate the workforce about the structure of the business and, for lack of better, profit and loss, so that they understand, because taking over that business is in trouble. So I want them to know that we're all in this together, and I'm going to stand by them, and I'm going to employ all of the knowledge that I've gained to right that ship and fix the business in general. But it's not going to happen overnight. So I had full intentions of showing them the numbers and sharing the numbers with them so that they knew, in one respect, what the real picture was and what they were up against. And as they collectively, as a team, perform better, they will be able to see that their work is paying off and that ship is riding course. But I mean, I'm sitting here, I mean, like, I want to know exactly what you're digging at in general, because while, yes, all of these businesses are under the umbrella of my ownership, they're all structured different. They all operate different. And I mean, that's like, one of them is an apparel company, so it doesn't function like a coffee shop. One of them is a digital agency, so it doesn't function like an apparel company or a coffee shop. One of them, or a couple of them, are coffee shops and pizza places. The type of employee that we employ there is a completely different from that of a digital agency or an apparel company. And we're getting the franchise company off the ground. And again, it will function completely differently, and it will require different skill sets. So I'm sitting here going, if you think that I'm going to be like, we live in an unfair world and I look for a semblance of fairness, but if you think that I'm going to be looking for this is the standard that I'm going to employ across all of the businesses, that I don't think that makes smart sense. They function different. They operate different. They require different levels of expertise. Like, I'm not going to put a part-time 16, 17, 18-year-old in the middle of a digital agency. So I'm not exactly sure what you're driving at, because I'm sitting here also knowing that, I mean, like, you're pretty freaking high in the whole totem pole of everything in general. So again, I'm not exactly sure what you're specifically driving at, but I am looking for a semblance of fairness in general. But I've also made it very clear that in the midst of accountability, like, for a long time, due to my union background, I gave people the wrong impression, and that wrong impression was that time served or time spent was equally or more valued than the other important aspects of what somebody individually brings to the table. And I feel like I went out of my way to correct that when I really started breaking down the culture and said that we were running a hybrid culture of a family, while keeping in mind that I'm not going to tolerate shit out of family that I wouldn't tolerate out of somebody else, and that's the problem with families. And running it as a team, meaning I'm looking to build the best team, and you should be coming in every day and proving why you belong on the team in general. But the point is there's, like, if you perform well individually, then it's my job to make sure that you are taken care of individually, because, quite frankly, I mean, I'm not going to pay somebody else what I would pay you. You give your heart. I mean, and I recognize that.
I appreciate that part.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying, is that I'm sitting here going,
I mean, I always will take more.
I know that's also what I know this, but I'm sitting there going, when I'm paying you in a level that is directly correlating with the amount of effort that you put in, and your expertise is a level that a lot of people do not have the ability to contribute. Well, I'm sitting there going, there are certain things that I have done for you that I wouldn't do for somebody else. And then when because I see where the question in general is coming, for how I was trying to rally the team at the apparel company in general, and get them to operate with that continuity of a team in general. And their structure is a little bit different.
Partially.
What do you mean partially?
Well, I didn't actually know about the part that you shared here.
Okay.
So that was more to it, actually. But they get sick days and vacation.
Oh,
days,
no, they don't. No, they don't.
Paid holidays.
No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. That's what I said. Incorrect. The shit payroll company that he had in there was
Can't be worse than mine.
yes, because again, it's about putting the business in jeopardy. This payroll company, while they were tracking the how much they would give them in quote unquote PTO time, they weren't paying their taxes. So the business was experiencing major problems and encouraging major liabilities because the payroll company was not doing what a payroll company was supposed to do, on top of just, charging $55 for hand-delivered courier service. And I'm like, so it was a horrible payroll company, but the one thing they did was track PTO time. And I said, fine, I'll buy out the PTO time. And I gave them a raise to compensate for that, to say, track your own PTO time. I'm paying you up front, but as a small business, I am not going to incur administrative costs to track something like this. There are certain things that big businesses are willing and able to do because they have millions and billions of dollars that they can put wasteful time into developing all of these programs honestly, it's like, the thing is, I don't want to be where I'm not wanted, and I don't want people around me that don't want to be with me and don't see the vision that I'm trying to build, because I am building a $1 billion business.
I was about to correct you on that.
That's what I said. So the point being, the people that are around me are helping me work towards a goal of building out that $1 billion vision. And everybody knows me. I'm very transparent that as we continue to succeed, everybody will share in the benefit of that. But a company that, and seeing, it goes both ways, because there's $1 billion companies out there that they go out of their way to offer lavish packages and pay people well. And I'm not mad at them.
Yeah, let's do that.
No, I would rather, the thing is I would still, at the end of the day, I don't want to pay administrative to sit there and track that bullshit. I would rather just, again, pay you even more and say, you are responsible for your own shit.
We can do that too.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's much rather where I would be, rather than trying to create sticky programs to make it hard for you to leave. If you don't want to be with me, then leave. I want to be where I'm wanted, and I want to be surrounded by a team that wants to be with me and believes in what we are doing, that it's not based on I can't leave here because they give me PTO time. I can't leave here because they give me insurance by name that's not really insurance. No, I want to pay you as well as I can pay you, and as well as what the business will bear, in order to continue to invest in the business, so that all tides rise, so that we all make more money, because I'm not hiding it. As we get bigger and better, we're not going to be able to hide it. We're going to get bigger and better. And as we get bigger and better, everybody's paychecks is going to get bigger and better. And I would rather be surrounding myself with people that are making a shitload of money, and me saying, you want benefits like those benefits by name and some of those ridiculous benefits that cost a lot of money just to track, and say, go get that shit yourself, because I'm paying you amply to do that. And again, I'm coming from the small business mentality, where the wasteful spending. And if you're paying somebody to just sit in an administrative position and track that shit, and I'm like, no, and again, with this company, it's like small business. They weren't tracking that themselves. He got suckered into a payroll company that they're like, hey, we'll track this stuff for you, but we won't track and pay your taxes. What the hell? What kind of payroll company does not automatically track and pay your freaking taxes to make sure that you stay out of the trouble with the government? That's the whole purpose of not going to QuickBooks and doing it yourself and turning it over to a payroll company, so that you don't get in trouble with the government. So, like I said, where you're going, no, I cut that off because I'm sitting there going, I took them to a payroll that made sense for small business and small business expenses, because there are wastes and expenses in that business, problems that needed to be corrected and righted, and I'm doing what I know to do to run a lean operation over there to make sure that there is a profit, because if there's not a profit, it is not worth running the business, and too many people do not realize that. To try and demonize profit and, the big bad business person. Running a business is a pain in the ass, and if there's not profit, it's not worth doing. There's too many risks, there's too many responsibilities, and it's running at a profit is very important, and hopefully you end up finding your way working with somebody like me that if there is a significant profit, well, then I'm going to be willing to share that profit, because I'm not trying to put money in my pocket and have people around me that are suffering. But if we all work together as a team, then everybody's going to make more money and we're all going to be happy. And when we are profiting, everybody's going to make more money. And when we're not profiting, we're not going to make, but not everybody's good. It's like everybody shares in the highs and the lows. If we're not making money, well, then we all need to buckle down and get to work to fix our problems and make more money. The business makes more money. Okay, well, then we're all rewarded for a job well done.
That was a long response.
I mean, because the thing is I'm not going to do too many people look at a business owner and they're like, oh, you own a business, you're a millionaire. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like, me and you can have these conversations, but I'm like, I take offense to that shit, because people do not realize the amount of stress and responsibility that small business owners walk around with bearing on their shoulders 24/7. And that's like the whole deal with Vickers. Like, I love that dude. And tremendous amount of empathy, because I've had to go in there and turn over the stones and dig through everything. And it takes me back to those days when the amount of responsibility is crippling to the point it does physical internal damage to you. And too many people look at business owners and they're like, oh, you got a bunch of money in the bank. No, I don't. Even today, I'm sitting here going, a lot of people will look at me and say that there's success. And I mean, maybe on some levels, I can look at many metrics and be like, okay, there's a certain level of success, but I don't have $1 million in the bank just to throw around and do what I want to do. And what money is in the bank, it has been a long, hard endeavor, and too many people just take it for granted that, oh, you go into business, you got money. No, the higher average, 99% is you go into business, you work twice as hard for less money than what you would just to be an employee and work for somewhere. For a decade, I was working 80 plus hours a week for less than minimum wage. I easily could have taken my ass out and got a job. I mean, that is the fact and reality of small business. So there have been many things inside of that business that I have put a stop to because it was irresponsible, because it was not going to lead towards turning a profit, and turning the profit is what guarantees the actual paycheck is going to cash. And a lot of small businesses go through that too, where employees start dropping off when they get problems at the bank when it comes to, is that check going to cash? If you want me to provide the security of and the confidence that your check's going to cash, okay, well, you got to be very prudent about your spending and your spending decisions and what you create or allow or offer as benefits. And that is the small business reality of the struggle. The struggle is fucking real. I mean, it's
just make sure my check cashes.
My whole thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and act like, again, in the beginning years, I struggled with cash flow, and I can remember times that I sweat it and I struggled with making sure that people's checks cashed. That's what pisses me off about government. They spend all that money and they ain't never had to meet a payroll, and they ain't never had to endure that kind of stress or pressure. And the struggle is real in small business. But okay, I'll get off my high horse about this. Who has the next question for me?
So what are the qualities of a good entrepreneur?
What are the qualities of a good entrepreneur? Wow. You know what? I'm going to opine, but I'm not going to answer your question directly. Okay. I will tell you that the victim mentality and feeling like you are entitled to anything, those are the qualities that you have no business in entrepreneurship. I will say that internally, if you have to be motivated by somebody else, if you do not have a personal, strong internal drive, you should probably not be an entrepreneur. And I say that because, like, as I realized that I was getting to a certain level, I realized that in order for me to get to the next level, I needed to start searching out people that were already at that next level, which led me to coaching, because I started seeking out coaching from people that were already there. And then I started finding out that there is a whole industry for coaching in general. Well, that coaching, that type of level of coaching, it's the same thing as when you go to the gym that you get a trainer. Well, that trainer does not help you. That trainer holds you accountable and says, hey, you're paying me to make sure that you're going to work out. Well, I don't need to pay a trainer to make sure that I'm going to work out. I decide that I want to work out. I go work out. What I need is a specialist that is already operating up here to say, you're doing this, this, and this right. You're doing this, this, and this wrong. And if you want to get to my level, you need to change this and you need to double down on this. Well, if you're in the coaching industry, very few coaches in the coaching industry have ever done it. They're just motivational coaches. Well, they are in the industry to find people that need external motivation, so they get paid to externally motivate people. I don't need that. And when I saw that type of coaching, I was like, yeah, that's not right for me. So I continued on looking and my searching. Now, I will say that there's an in particular coach that I have a certain affinity for. His name's Coach Burt. Coach was a coach. He was a ball coach. And he went on to develop his coaching business. I read a book called The $1 Trillion Coach, and Coach Bill was himself a coach, and they both went into the business world and became successful in the business world, and they continued to coach people. But I do see a lot of people out there that I'm not judging them. I mean, that's their desired entrepreneurial path itself. The point is they get into coaching because they are very high energy and they just want to motivate people. I don't hold anything against them. I'm saying that the individual that is paying them, that individual likely should not be an entrepreneur, because if you have to pay somebody to motivate you, that's I'm looking at it saying, in capitalism, it's competition. So I'm just being real and saying, if your first thing that you have to do is pay somebody else to motivate you, well, you're already behind the 8 ball when you're dealing with somebody like me, because I already have that internal motivation. And I'm looking at myself going, I'm trying to be humble, because I'm looking at the guys that are way on a different level than me, and they're killing it. And I'm looking at them going, these guys have an internal motivation, and I'm trying to get to their level, knowing that they're waiting up there doing really well, and I have to compete with them. I'm not kidding myself about the fierceness of the competition. So if you do not already have an internal level of motivation and discipline, you are automatically at a disadvantage. And when 99% of all businesses fail to begin with, likelihood is the odds are against you if you're going to go into business, but you're not internally motivated. So what makes a good entrepreneur? What makes a successful entrepreneur? Somebody that keeps their ego in check, somebody that understands they do not know everything and they have a thirst for learning. They like solving problems and communicate well. Because it's weird, because I'm like, in this whole generation, it's like, oh, it's all about relationships. And I'm like, yeah, dipshit, it's been about relationships our entire life. in our previous generation's life and it's always been about relationships. So I don't when was it not about relationships? So I'm like, okay. And don't get me wrong, you can have a certain people that can be successful in entrepreneurship and be very introverted. I don't believe that those people are so introverted that they don't want to be around people. Mm-hmm. It's that when you talk about introversion and extroversion, an introvert recharges their batteries in a private space. So they'll go out and network and develop relationships, but that drains their battery. They have to go and fall back into their private space to recharge their batteries. Other people, an extrovert, their battery drains when they're by themselves, and they have to go be with people in order to recharge their battery because they're an extrovert. They need to be around people. That's what fuels them. So my point being, there are introverts and extroverts both that are successful in business in general, but if you don't see value in connectivity, if you don't see value in relationships, I mean, in this day and age, you can be a solopreneur because there is a lot of money that can be made just by being a tech whiz online, tapping on a keyboard. But in general, if you're really going to build something of substance, something that can withstand a certain amount of test of time, because that's my bigger realization, is that the whole leaving a legacy, Steve Jobs leaving your dent in the universe, like, no, it's not true. Like, name me a civilization that has truly lasted the test of time and is a total legacy. You got a couple people that you can talk about, but all great civilizations fall and all great people are forgotten over the test of time. I mean, I'm like, ain't none of us going to do anything so spectacular that they're going to be praising us 1,000 years from now. It's just not reality. So
thanks for the motivation.
That's what I said. I'm a realist. It's not like, because I am trying to build something that outlives me, but that's my daily internal motivation, and I want to get up every day and enjoy what I'm doing every day. But I'm also being real about it and saying I want to enjoy my lifetime, because am I overly worried about 500 years from now? No, I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm like, am I trying to create generational wealth that kids 1,000 years from now are looking at a picture going, he worked his ass off and that's why I can sit here and do nothing? No, I'm not. I'm just being honest about it. I mean, that's, again, I'm coming from a blue collar small business background, and I'm just trying to keep it real. But yeah, I mean, that's just, there are different ways and different walks of life as far as, I mean, you can be a successful entrepreneur, but when you get right down to it, 99% of all businesses fail. So, I mean, it's hard to be an entrepreneur, but I can tell you traits and qualities that set you up for failure. The biggest one's probably mindset. I mean, you have the right mindset, you can accomplish anything, and that is a limitless mindset and a grateful mindset. Have a shitty victim mentality, you owe me, oh, woe is me. Well, probably shouldn't be an entrepreneur. I'm just being honest. And yeah. Okay, Boujee Blonde, where's your bougie question? What do you got?
Okay, so tell me something that's true that almost nobody agrees with you on.
Something that is true that almost nobody agrees with me on. Man, that's like, you might have.
That's a good one.
It is a good one. I mean,
Thank you.
And the thing,
Very
don't get me wrong,
much.
you're not walking in my shoes. So people look at business owners. You don't know the pressure. You don't understand the reality. And it's just like when you're an employee, you work, government gets paid their taxes, then you get what's left over. So you don't ever really have to deal with the government. You don't understand the pressure of it. You don't understand. The government put the mob out of the business because they didn't want the competition. Like, they are the mob. They are that threatening. They are that intimidating. They are that loan sharking, like, miss your bill by 30 seconds. And they are heartless and hit you with penalties and interest, and they could care less whether you're having a problem putting food on your family's table or not. Like the pressure is that intense.
That would be another good answer, that the government's like the mob.
I mean, well, I think most people, that's what kills me is that we've said that before. I'm like, I don't know why you guys keep voting the way you are, because you keep believing the people when they're telling you what you want to hear. No, this isn't left or right. All politicians tell you what they think you need to hear to get your vote. And then once they got your vote, they don't give a shit less. Once they retain power, they care less what promise they made to get there. They go about doing what they want to do. And that's part of the problem of the mob, because they are that mentality as elected, and then they allow all of the bureaucrats behind them to throw around their weight because they know they're the government. They can do whatever they want to do. But we're getting off track of the direction that being in business is hard. But when you're demonizing business, you're looking at these businesses that they're like, oh, we're short on money. Okay, well, we'll just issue some stock and we'll fill up our coffers because, hey, the stock market's got... That shit is not reality with small business. Like, when a small business gets down to the point of saying, hey, I need money, small businesses have the same resources to quote-unquote payday loans that when you make dumb decisions as a person and you want to go to get a payday loan, it's literally loan shark rates. Those
shady branch.
Yeah, that's my point. There are companies out there that are like, hey, we're here to help. We'll loan you money. And you know what? We'll just take a piece of your credit card transactions so that when things are slow, we don't take as much. And when things are good, we take a little bit more. But when you do the interest rate, you're still paying them back in less than a year at a 20 to 30% interest rate. They're not doing you any favors. They're there as opportunists on your, it's like, do I deal with them so that I can get most of my money so that I can pay the government? Because if I don't pay the government, then I got to deal with them. And these are the types. And when you're dealing with all that as a small business, you're also going, but I got a family. I got to give them 3 meals a day. I got to give them money for school lunches. I got to pay for their books. Like, the life of a small business person, by and large, you see a couple of us that you think that casts to everybody. And I'm like, even I get assholes that are on social media that want to talk smack. And I'm like, dude, you don't know me. Like, I lived in a 15 by 15 box for 6 years to be able to be where I am today, because I had to choose between opening my doors or literally living like a normal human being. I chose to not live like a normal human being for 6 years to make sure the doors were open so that I could live to fight another day. And that is the ongoing everyday reality of small business. And people do not understand how hard it is. And that while you're fighting and bitching for we deserve 15 an hour, you're demanding that out of an employer that's probably not even pulling the equivalent of minimum wage when you look at the amount of hours they're putting into a business to just keep their doors open. And you're looking at them ungratefully like they're millionaires and they're just not giving you your cut. And I'm sitting here telling you that's not the reality of small business. Business is hard, and small business is even harder because you don't have the ammo, the money to fight with when you're competing against all business and big business. It's like that empathy, that pain, because I remember everything that I went through, and I know a lot of people are going through that every single day, and it just makes me want to break out into tears because it's hard. It shouldn't be this hard. Everybody thinks it's that easy. Well, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. And I'm like, no, it's a lot harder than it looks. And in my opinion, it's too hard. And you got too many lobbyists by big business that are going up there and paying government entities and paying officials to create laws that they know is no skin off their back because they have the money to weather it, but they know that those laws and regulations are going to further oppress small business, and they do it anyway. And then once they've done that shit behind closed doors, then they come out and say, I'm here to champion small business. No, you're not. You're part of the problem. 50% of this nation is employed by small business, and government does not go out of their way to help small business. They never have, and likely is they never will, because when we had COVID, who got shut down? Small business, not big business. They had money, and they were all allowed to stay open. Who got shut down? Who got told to sit down and shut up? Small business.
How do you really feel?
Man, I'm sorry. It's touched a nerve. That
COVID didn't exist in Walmart and Lowe's and Home Depot.
Yeah, or in the grocery stores, or
Only the
ridiculousness.
IGAs.
Yeah.
Only the IGAs were at risk.
And it does. I'm sorry. Because it pisses me off. Because going back to the heart of the question that you asked, it's not easy. It's incredibly hard, and people are, and that entrepreneurial spirit, that is like a genetic thing. And I get it. It's not really genetic. But it's like inbred in the hearts of American citizens. Entrepreneurship is something that is like, it is part of the soul of this nation. But more often than not, you are penalized for it. Rarely are you rewarded for it. And the big ass businesses, the Walmarts, the Amazons, the Home Depots, the Lowe's, the founders of those companies were paid well for the risks that they took. But to get to the big business, then they had to develop C-suites and then executives, and them didn't do shit other than go to school and get a degree and say, I have a degree. I'm now worth being overpaid. And because then they stepped in after the founders did all of the hard work and continued to operate and function, they believe they're worth millions of dollars. They didn't take the risk. They didn't put in the hard work to actually develop those businesses, but those businesses are iconic, and that's part of what people, they look to that and they aspire to that. But when they get into business, they find out the real story about business. You're going to work twice as hard. You're going to be paid half as much, and everybody's going to look at you like you're a millionaire, and you ain't going to have. That is the reality of small business. And for every person that has went out there and put it on the line, like, I salute you for taking the risk, because I have been there, and many things came together for me to get to the other side of that struggle. And it did not happen overnight, and it required a tremendous amount of humility and a tremendous amount of learning, and a tremendous amount of thanking the people around me for helping me get to the other side of it. But the small business is not what it is cracked up to be. And the small business people out there, I feel your pain. It is still very fresh in my mind. It is very taxing on people mentally and physically. And the people that have gotten to the other side and they're experiencing some type of, man, I'm happy for you, and anybody judging you, tell them to f off. They never had to walk in your shoes. And for those of you that are in that struggle, people should be looking and understanding you are not taking on the level of responsibility that these people have tried to take on. They're employing people, and they're not really making shit for all of the effort. And it's a shame, because at the end of the day, it's the lobbyists, and it's the government, and it's the regulations that have literally stacked the deck against these small businesses to yet again put their thumb on them and oppress and keep them down and make it harder for them, because the big businesses got to the point that was like, we can just throw money and we can make sure that these people that are trying to compete with us have to wade through 7 tons of shit and come out the other side before they ever have a chance to compete. And it's not right. And it could be, and it should have been righted, but it's not. And it's a shame. And I'll get off my soapbox. That's, you hit a nerve, Dawn. You hit a nerve.
I think I'm going to be known for that. I didn't mean to actually this time, but
okay.
It took a second to sink in, but damn when it did.
Oh damn! Watch out! I thought he was going to start throwing mountains.
No. It's just the struggles of small business are real, and the people that are literally trying, like they're trying to put food on the table just like everybody else is, and it's tough. Any business, as a small business, it's tough because you look out and demonize business because you think that they're all big business, and all small businesses you think have the same resources that big businesses do, and the shit is just not true. And 99% of all businesses fail at that. The risk reward is like, I have beat my head against the wall and told myself how dumb I am for even deciding to embark on an entrepreneurial journey, because I had my life dicked working for Chrysler. I had an easy peasy life, and so many times it was like, man, how dumb are you? I had a good life, a good job, a way towards retirement, and I just had to be freaking ambitious. That goddamn internal drive, and I listened to it.
Well, I'm glad that you did.
Oh, okay.
I think we can all agree to that.
Sorry we were late to the party.
No, do you know? And again, everything I believe happens for a reason, and I don't believe in coincidence. But I'm sitting there telling you, love all three of you to death. Had you come into my shit show a decade ago, you might not have stuck with me, because there were some incredibly painful times, and there are some people that will forever have. I'll have a soft spot in my heart for, because they gave me a portion of their life, but they were in the middle of that shit show time. And they just got to a point where they couldn't tolerate it anymore, and the vision got blurry, or it started to fade, because we went through some very rough times, both as me learning how to be a good business person, going through the economic cycles, which plays even worse on small businesses. I mean, when you jack up gas to $4 and $5 a gallon, big businesses find a way to work around that shit. They just jack up their prices. They print more money. Small businesses don't. They're feeling the same pain that everybody else is feeling at the pump. And that's just one example of it. But the point is that the struggle is fucking real when it comes to small business. And for all of the small businesses that are out there struggling, my heart goes out to you, because the only thing that I can tell you is that in order for you to get to the other side of it, you have got to have an extreme desire to learn. And because learning is so expensive, by getting it from coaching or from people that have already been there and done that, the only other thing that I know to tell you to do is fall in love with reading, because that information and that knowledge, it is out there, but it's time consuming, and it means giving up that time when you want to just crash because you're so tired. That it's seeking that information, is that getting more knowledge and information is the only way that you get to the other side, because believe it or not, none of us know everything. There's always something more to learn. I ain't talking about Elon Musk. I don't know that there's more for him to learn, but he's already on the other side of it. I'm talking about small business. Like, there's always something more for us to learn. I've been in it 17 years, and today I'm still looking to accelerate my learning, because I know that in order for me to provide security for all of you, for myself, to sustain for business, that I still do not know enough. And it's learning. That's the only way you get to the other side.
Well, since you name dropped Elon, I just want to say, if he sees this, you need your first obese guy to go into outer space.
Oh my God! No! Because honestly, I just say the man is going on 5 years with me now. The man is too valuable. He does not need to be an astronaut. Let him live vicariously through you. No. All right. We are gonna wrap it up. Hopefully you learned something, or I don't know, felt something out of this. And if you did, leave a review, share the show, because I'm a guy and I'm trying to build shit. Saying I want to see how big I want to know how big I can build this as a blue collar laborer turned entrepreneur. I'm an Indiana boy. And I'm proud of that shit, but I also know, I know it's Indiana, taking
From the cornfields here.
That's exactly it. But yes, please leave a review, share the show. I want to accomplish great things, and I really want to see this show make its way out into the world. So, all right, until next time, you guys have a good night.